Good evening. This is the October 17th ZBA meeting, and this meeting is being recorded, so it's time I was going to ask if there is anyone else recording. I don't see anyone, so we have a 7 o'clock applicant. Apologize if I mispronounce your name. Ugur Yilmaz.
Yeah, my name is Leo Kirkoulis. He's not here. I'm representing.
Okay. Could you spell your last name? K-O-U-R-K-O-U-L-O-S. Okay. And requesting a special permit under section 3.2.6.2, motor vehicle service station with car wash, and section 4.3.5.1 of the Aquifer Protection District of the Auburn zoning bylaws for the operation of a car wash on property located at 385 Southbridge Street, map 33, parcel 87. And good evening. Do you want to maybe come up to the mic? Before we start, I just wanted to bring something to your attention to see how you want to handle it.
Sure.
We looked at your packet, and you filed for a special permit. But if you look at the bylaws in the aquifer, the use is actually in the Aquifer 2 district requires a variance for a motor vehicle and car wash operation. So what we can do is we can make I can accept the motion on the floor to change it from a special permit to a variance. But the only thing I wanted to mention is the requirements for a variance are much more stringent than a special permit. And I actually, just on the way over here, I printed out some of the material. We'd actually need quite a bit of information that I don't know if you'll have it for tonight's meeting.
Okay. I probably don't. I don't have a lot here with me.
Okay.
If you want to show me what the list is, or
Because a lot of it is for a variance, you'd have to show us what is the hardship with the lot in terms of the qualify for a variance. So,
okay. I'm a little confused because we have a location at the Solomon Pond Mall where we work, and we do car wash and details in the parking lot.
maybe you should open you want to open the meeting first? Should we take I'll take a motion to open
I'll
the
make a motion to open.
second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. I'm sorry.
So we're looking to do the same thing at this location also. And we have other locations that we're looking at in Boston. So I don't know, the special permit, I don't know what the difference is between a variance and a special permit, so I'm a little confused at what we need and what,
Okay.
it's kind of like a small business we're opening, but we're just opening in the parking lot instead of inside the mall. We're going to be outside in the parking lot of the mall.
Well, you know what it is, where you selected the spot at the Auburn Mall, that's in what we call the Aquifer 2 district. That's probably the most sensitive area in town. Auburn draws all their water from underground versus a reservoir system.
Okay.
So there's a lot of bylaws, regulations in terms of what's allowed because to protect the water supply. So for example, in the Solomon Pond Mall in Northborough, it's a completely different zoning district, so I don't really know. They may not have the same requirements.
Gotcha.
The same thing with Boston. I'm really
Okay.
not sure.
Should I pick a different spot in the mall? Would that make a difference?
The whole area.
The whole area.
is,
I got you. Okay.
So probably what I could recommend is, because if we were just to hear your case tonight, then I don't think you would have.
The information that you need.
Well, through the chair, what he can do is we can allow the applicant to present his
Okay.
his application to you. If you don't feel that he meets the requirements that you're looking for, and he may have some additional information, you can always vote to continue the hearing to
Okay.
the next meeting and have him provide some additional information. We can open it and you can listen to him.
Yeah.
He may answer your questions tonight.
Okay.
I don't think we want to stop him dead in his tracks before
Okay.
we give him a chance to speak. But at the end of his presentation, if you still have some open questions and you'd like some additional information from him, you always have the choice of continuing the hearing to the next meeting.
If that were done, that would be done under the guise of a special permit and not a variance, as Mr. Coleman says it would be needed.
Well,
And to come back and continue the hearing, it would still be under the guise of a special permit.
we,
not a variance.
as this was advertised and put in, it was advertised as a special permit. However, the special permit versus the variance, the advertising would not have changed what was placed as far as the notifications. The board is allowed to amend the application's request from a special permit to a variance, so we can change that to a variance request through the board if the board accepts that. We would not have to re-advertise because all of the applicable advertising requirements have been met, and we're not changing the section under which we're doing the approvals.
Okay, if the board agrees, I'll take a motion that you
I'll
want
make
to...
a motion to change the application from special permit to variance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Okay, so maybe if you want to, I think were you before the Board of Selectmen the other night?
Yes.
Is that- Okay.
Yes.
Maybe if you want to kind of give us an idea of, when I'm thinking car wash, I'm thinking you're going to connect something to one of the existing buildings, but maybe give a little description
Yeah.
of what your plans are.
What we have is we have a vehicle that has a steam car wash system inside. It's a portable system where we can take out of the vehicle and put back in the vehicle. It's very small. It's a system where it uses very little water. So as far as spillage and things like that compared to a pressure washer, we use less than a gallon of water per car, where a pressure washer uses 5 gallons of water per car. That's the biggest aspect of the system. Another thing about the system was we don't use any chemicals on the cars. We try and use very little chemicals. Some things do need a chemical cleansing, but we try and use very little chemicals compared to a regular car wash where they use all chemicals. It's a very, very environmentally safe system. It's very quiet. It's
What are those chemicals that you do use?
depending on the cleaning agent, if we have, some kind of buffing agent that we have to clean out, but to be honest with you, I haven't used any chemicals in the cars that I use, so it would depend on waxing. If somebody wants to wax their car, we use a waxing agent. I can bring you the products and show you what's in the products also. But that's not cleaned out of the car, that's put right onto the car. So as far as cleaning and cleansing, there's no bubbles, there's no things like that. So what happens is the steam machine itself creates a temperature of 160 degrees, so that removes any type of dirt and film on the car. And we just,
Where on the mall site is this supposed to be?
it's going to be in the parking lot.
What parking lot? What part of the mall?
I would assume it's near the Macy's parking lot, underneath one of the, they have a 2-level there, I think. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be.
In the garage?
It's outside. It would be outside.
Outside.
It wouldn't be inside.
If I may, to help clarify, the items that have been presented to us, and I've spoken with the mall also, because I wanted to confirm that the mall had given them approval to move forward with this step they have. The location that, the tentative location that has been designated for this is underneath the parking garage, the open-air parking garage, so they'll be covered by a canopy roof, so that they don't have the exterior elements coming in, but also they have the open-air garage, and they'll taking up approximately 2 to 3 parking spaces towards the back of the parking garage, outside of the Macy's
Home
end of the
store
building.
there? The home store?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to visualize the process. So when you say steam clean the exterior of a vehicle, then all the residue that comes off the vehicles, does that just flow onto the parking lot?
No, we actually wipe it off. So as we're steaming, we're wiping. So there's no residue that comes off the car. There's no spillage. There's no.
There's no water used?
It's
gallon?
it's a steam. It's a new process. So it's a little difficult to explain. Once you see it, you can really see what happens. But there is no water. Very little water comes off the car. We also have a containment mat. If some places wanted us to put a containment mat, we can do that also, where it collects all the water and we take it all back. But there's really no water that comes off the car. It's all steam. So, and as we're cleaning it, we're wiping it.
No, I think I heard you at the Board of Selectmen meeting, you would suck the oil from where the dipstick is.
Yeah, we're not doing oil change at the mall. We
Just
won't
the-
be doing that, just
Just
steam
the
car wash.
steaming the cars.
We do that at other locations, we don't do that here.
Okay, so you're not gonna do the
We're not gonna,
mobile
we're
oil
not gonna
change?
do that.
You said that your system is portable,
Yes,
so you could just put it down and be in business in an hour.
yes.
Now, if you were to pick it up, there's no site work that you would have to do or anything like that?
Just unplug it and we get up and go. I can show you a picture of it. I have a picture of it. If you
I'd
want
love
see
to
it.
see one.
Sure.
Is it year-round?
Yes.
Give me a better idea of,
So this is how we wash it off, as we're steaming, we're wiping. I don't know if I have a picture of the machine itself, but I have it in my truck here.
So it's like a truck?
Oh, no, the machine itself is.
Oh,
is probably,
okay.
3 feet by 3 feet.
No, the tires, the same way you steam the tires?
Yep.
now, you said it's 160 degrees.
Yes.
What do you have as a protectant area for the public? In other words, is there, do you have curtains or?
No, it doesn't, it's not, it's a very small spray, so if you look here, I mean, you can kind of put your hand there, it's not gonna burn your hand unless you really, steam your hand, but it's really vapors that are coming out, it's not really,
And you do the engine also?
we can steam clean the engine also, yeah.
Will you be steam cleaning engines at the mall?
We try not to, because that builds more, you get a lot of oil access. that comes
That's
through,
right,
so
that's right.
We try and
Right.
stay, I mean, if that's something you don't want us to do, we'd rather not do it.
So you bring a truck with this little machine and take up 2 or 3 parking
Well, the 2 spots would be the cars that we'd be working on. We take a van. There's a picture of it. There's a picture of the machine. So this is, this is your traditional, your pre-rinse,
Right,
you
right.
wash it, this. Right here, we just spray and wipe, and we clean up the car.
So, I see, you hold it in your hands.
This is when we're waxing.
Oh, okay.
This is, spraying.
Okay.
and working.
So spray and wipe.
Here, there was a picture of it I saw.
Machine?
Yeah, of the machine. Yeah.
So it's the size of a power washer, pretty much a little smaller.
And with the mat under it, there'd be no runoff at all?
Well, the mat would be under the car.
Right.
Not-
So nothing would go into the parking lot?
Are there other operations like this?
No, this is the first one
Oh,
in
this is-
Mass.
Oh, really? Where else do they do them?
We're at the Solomon Pond Mall.
So you already started the Solomon Pond Mall? Oh, I was there today. Whereabouts I?
We're at the, where the movie theater is?
Yeah?
Right there in the parking lot.
Working in the insurance industry, I can already see customers coming to you and saying, "You scratched my paint job."
This doesn't damage the paint at 160
Yeah.
degrees. It's not. It's
So
not
when you wipe
affecting-
it off,
It's not affecting the paint at all.
some people though,
Oh,
What about when
we
the
haven't had a
mall?
problem with that.
Will you always be in the same part of the mall, the same
Yeah,
part of the
we'd rather stay
garage?
stationary.
What about
Where-
when the mall is real mobbed, like Christmas time or something?
Yeah, we'd like to take up the spots where we are and, be under the garage.
Being that it is portable, do you bring it and take it with you at the end of the day? Or do you always leave it there
We would take it, come back the next day.
and come back to the same spot?
It would be a 9 to 5 operation. It wouldn't be a,
9 to 5?
yeah, I would say so.
So what do you guys think?
So this is pretty much the business model that we've got, it would be,
Take a couple spots.
you could put, curtains if they wanted to. I don't think there's a need for the curtains, but
Yeah, there's not an overspray where people are gonna get
It's not
wet
like a
walking
no.
by it and
Yeah, somebody walks by.
mist underneath
No.
there, like it's,
Is this a franchise operation?
yes, it is.
So I can go and see franchises, commitments, and so forth?
We're actually opening it up at the Manchester Airport, too.
Okay.
Contract with them, in the garage also. I mean, the model itself is we do oil changes also, but we wouldn't be doing
yeah, you
anything.
don't want that over.
Yeah.
It's all self-contained, it's a really full system.
Yeah, just
But I understand.
a chance of a spill and
Right.
there's a variance, right?
Right.
I've seen that.
I mean, I think it's definitely a lot better than what I originally thought. I thought,
Right.
originally I
Me
thought it was a new
Absolutely.
car wash that we're gonna put in.
I thought it was a building that
Right,
was
me
going
too.
up.
Yeah, I don't think I like any engine washing.
Right.
The
No,
only way you're gonna get any oil,
in the containment mat.
the containment mat for sure.
So that, and I know the applicant mentioned he was receptive to, no steam cleaning engines. Containment mat.
If I may, through the chair.
Yeah.
The applicant actually sat down and met with the DCG.
Okay.
And we actually recommended several conditions for their use there. One of them being that no oil changes be
Okay.
done on that site, only regulated to the steam cleaning and detailing. The other one was that they do use a containment mat for the cars that are there because we are in the Aquafirm shed. So the couple of things that you are discussing right now, it's also recommendations from the DCG
Okay.
that the applicant put in place.
What was the third one? Was there another?
There wasn't a third one.
Okay.
No engine.
I mean, I guess, it's not, it doesn't seem, right, that bad. You just spray and,
Far from what I thought.
yeah, me too,
Right,
yeah.
that's,
Glad we spoke.
right. So with the variance, the hardship is what?
Yeah.
That's the whole,
Yeah, that's,
Well, it's environmentally safe, right?
seems to be pretty.
I can leave this flyer, too, with you, if you like.
What's that?
I can leave the flyer if you like.
Yeah, you could do that, that'd be handy, I'm sure.
I mean, we could probably indicate that it's a good positive use of the aquifer, almost like the other case we had with the school. I mean,
Right.
And no, we're not doing any of the oil changes and, or the steam cleaning of the engines. I mean, I could come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, the use, to me, seems, I'm okay with it, because there's no oil, no chemicals.
Yeah.
so.
What do you think, Larry?
I'm okay with it.
As long
With the
as
conditions.
condition
With the
it-
conditions.
Under the conditions of the mat and no engine.
No engine
No oil
steam
change.
cleaning.
No oil changes.
No oil changes.
And whatever the DCG, in addition that the
there's where
DCG has said.
And theirs were the same, they put no oil changes and and they would like to see a containment mat.
Besides other things, did they?
I believe the only other condition we had is that for any type of chemicals that they were going to have on site, if they had it, that they needed to have MSDS sheets on,
Okay.
in their van.
Good to go.
And we could even reference that as a condition, like the requirements of the DCG. So I think if the board votes to approve, our conditions would be the same as the DCG. No oil change, no engine, steam cleaning, containment mat, and then having the material data sheets in your van for
Yeah.
any chemicals that you have.
That's fine.
And also subject to the town's
The standard aquifer
yeah.
conditions. And when we put the standard aquifer conditions, they don't, a lot of them wouldn't really apply to you, I mean, but.
But we
so-
need to have them there. Well, I'll make a motion to approve then,
Okay, is there a second?
with all these conditions.
With the conditions.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one more thing, through the chair, we have, you voted on the variance for the use in the aquifer. However, there is a second part of this application, which is for the special permit for the use within the regional mall district.
Oh, that's right. That's
Okay.
That's right.
yeah. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the use within the
Second.
mall district, regional mall district.
Is there a second?
Yeah, seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
So forgive me if if I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah, oh, yeah.
what's the next step from here? Do I go to the selectmen's meeting? Is that how that works, or?
I don't know, Nick, do you?
No, at this point, did you receive your, what were you in front of the selectmen for? I believe it was a transient vendor license?
Right, they told me to get permission from the,
Okay, so if they haven't granted for that yet, at this point, the zoning board has granted you your approval, so you can go back now to the board of supervisors, and we will let them know that the zoning board has approved your variance and your special permit.
okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. I'll take a motion to close the
I'll
hearing.
make a motion to close.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nick, thanks for stepping in there, because again, I think we all kind of assumed it was a full car wash.
No, and that's, and believe me, when we first saw that application come in, it was something that we were very interested to see. It's a unique business model.
Yeah.
It's the first time that I've seen something like that,
Right.
too. It's definitely very interesting.
1 gallon of water, they should be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry's going to bring the SUV over there. Okay, I will take, we have a 7:15 applicant, RSA Media Inc., requesting a special permit under section 7.6.7, 7.8, and 9.3 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for the installation of electronic message center on property located at 198 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass., map 34, parcel 3. I'll take a motion to open.
I'll make a motion to open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, Larry.
Good evening. Larry Broder representing RSA Media, and with me tonight is James Lack, who's the president of RSA Media, and Sherry Swanson from Daktronics, so Susan from Jim's office, but the Daktronics is the technical people if we have questions you want to ask. Just setting the table a little bit on this, this petition relates to an existing billboard located at 198 Washington Street. This billboard is in the back of the property. That's the Casey Storage Facility down there. It is a billboard which is at the, I gave you a plan that locates it on the plan, but it's at the northwest rear corner of the Casey Investment Real Estate property. This is a billboard that faces the eastbound lane of the Massachusetts Turnpike. It's located about 450 yards east of the Bancroft Street overpass on the Turnpike, to give you a point of reference. It is located at the bottom, if you will. There's a grade from the Bancroft Street Bridge down toward Boston East, and at the bottom of that grade is where this sign is. It is an existing non-conforming use. It's a 53.5-foot high monopole structure with a 1,200 square foot sign face on it. It's located in the GI Business District, and we're looking to modify the sign face to make it the digital sign face. and to change the images on that digital sign every 10 seconds. In the brief accompanying the petition, I've provided the board with a summary of the responses to the electronic message center review items. I've also provided responses to the special permit review criteria of section 9.3.5 of the bylaw. I've also provided in the brief information concerning testing that was done by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation on digital message boards.
And I did confirm that, and you were accurate on that.
Okay, and there were 7 study areas done over a 3-year period on routes I-93, I-90, I-95, and I-495. That pilot program included pre-installation studies, a 30-day post-installation review, and a year after post-installation review. It measured crash data, pre-installation and post-installation, and reviewed the possible complaints that might have gone to local police departments or the state police. In each instance, the Mass Department of Transportation reviewed those studies. They were done by well-established, highly qualified traffic engineering firms. The result of each study was the same, that there were no detrimental safety impacts that could be measured, that there were no changes in driver behavior, and no complaints about the signs given to the local or the state police. I mention that in detail because the Code of Mass Regulations has been amended to include the 10% image change sort of standard. It's also a standard that's utilized by the Federal Highway Administration, and it's been incorporated into the Federal Highway Administration agreements with the state, with the federal and state operating agreements in the dealing with the state interstate transportation system. As I mentioned earlier, this billboard faces west, so eastbound traffic going toward Boston see it. If you've taken the time, as I have, I'm familiar with the area. Don't live there now, but I lived there for quite a long time. And I did go back a few days ago and took a look to regenerate my past knowledge about this, because we've dealt with this issue before the board about 5 years ago. But not in this instance, but in another petition. But the billboard is visible. It's visible from the Bancroft Street Bridge, but it's not really visible.
You don't think from Tuck Farm and those houses that are at the end of Bancroft Street, right near the, where you get on and off the Mass Pike?
Right, where that ramp is coming, where that service ramp is coming up.
Yeah.
You can see, if you look down that service ramp,
Right.
you can certainly see it.
What about those 2 or 3 houses? It
If-
looks like you can. I don't know, without leaves, you might be able to.
Right.
And even down on Tuck Farm, from Washington Street, you can see Tuck Farm, some of those condos.
Yeah, I don't know for certain,
Yeah.
but I suspect they can't see them,
Yeah.
they see it from the condo. And I did go up and took a look at the last few houses on the end of
Yeah.
Bancroft Street. And I say in my brief, there may be a half a dozen or 5 backyards from which you might be able to see
Yeah.
it. Again, and I don't really know, because that ramp, Mark, if you
Right.
come up that ramp, there's a lot of trees there and a lot of foliage.
Yeah,
It's not all
right.
leafy trees, it's some pine trees. The point is, if there are any houses that can see it, it would only be them, and I think
Yeah.
it's on a very limited basis. I'm going to show you what the sign, if you've been to see it, you can see that sign's 450 yards approximately away from the bridge. And if you're not going to try to find it, if you're not going to try to look to find it, you're not going to see it at the present time. You just don't see it.
See what?
It's the billboard.
Oh,
if you
my
weren't-
God, you can see, I've always noticed that billboard.
No, I know it, but I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, but if you really have to focus, I think. You have to be looking for it. in my view.
Can I just ask a question? What's so important that it has to be every 10 seconds changing?
Well, that's the industry standard at the present time. It's what, in a standard that's been developed over time by the scientists, if you will, and the science of it has brought it to the point where it's 10 seconds. I also suggested that if you had the time or had seen them, that there were signs that are already operating in the city along 290 and on 146 into the city that do these, that goes through these changes. And maybe you want to, is there some, it's 10-second changes. That's just simply wrong.
Yeah, it's the insurance responsibility.
Let Worcester have them.
Oh, maybe, could you step up the mic so people at home can?
So the state of Massachusetts has just decided that the industry standard for them would be to 10 seconds. Honestly, across the states and across the country, it's usually set at a 6 to 8 second hold time. So, and we have all the documents on that. The state of Massachusetts, just from their pilot program, decided that they would go ahead with the 10 second. They felt that that was safe. It, like we said, the Federal Highway Administration approved that. We have the OAAA on board, which is the Outdoor Advertising Association. And that's where they kind of come up with that rule of thumb. And again, it was done by traffic engineers, just allowing that to be the safe level of change. And then at the 30-minute change, like we were saying before, it just kind of prohibits the company and the advertisers to kind of get as many impressions as we will need, and just the way that the industry works.
Larry, could I ask I want to kind of like level set,
Yep.
because I'm kind of stuck on one thing, and then that I want to keep an open mind. It's a grandfathered billboard.
Correct.
Which billboards are not allowed today
Correct.
in town. I was looking in the bylaw, and I printed a copy of the sheet if you want to look at it, but 7.2.5 on non-conforming signs, it says, a non-conforming sign shall not be changed or altered to another sign which does not comply with Section 7 of the bylaws. So it almost looks like the bylaws are stating they understand that there's some grandfathered billboards, but they don't want to see any alteration to them. And so that's why I'm kind of stuck on that. So it's 7.2.
I have it, yeah.
Okay, and then number C.
Yep. Well, this is not being altered to another sign. This is a billboard, and it will remain a billboard.
But isn't it though, if you're changing it from one sign, a billboard, to, because if you look at the bylaw under electronic media sign, it kind of shows what the requirements are for square footage.
Correct.
And they're usually like 100 square feet to 200 square feet, very small.
Right. Obviously, the bylaw was not written with the billboards in mind. And so there's one provision in those standards that, if you will, that you just referenced, that we will need to talk about, and I'll address that later. But the use, the underlying use, is as a billboard, and it's going to remain as a billboard. It's not going to be pasted paper anymore. If you grant this, it would be electronic.
But that's being altered then.
I'm Jim Lack from RSA Media. I'd just like to add one thing. The structure of the billboard, the billboard structure, the billboard platform, nothing on this billboard would change, except for the face of the billboard. Now, the face of the billboard currently changes every couple of months. Right. Okay, that's done normally. So the only thing that's going to change now is to a different face again. Only this face will be a permanent face, and it will be like an HDTV.
Right.
But the structure itself, the billboard itself, there will be no alterations.
But you could say, though, you are changing it, though, from the existing, I don't know if they use glue or whatever they use, but, the old billboard
Right.
to something new, and then in 10 years from now, there's going to be something new, so you're altering it, you are changing it. And I'm not speaking for the board, but...
Every few months anyway, I mean, we do.
Oh, you do, but not like from billboard
From paper to...
From paper to
lights.
electronics?
Yeah, electronics.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up is, I'm not saying I'm against it 100%, but I'm just saying, we're sort of looking at it, what do the bylaws state? And then, the residents are saying, the bylaws, this is what we want, so we're kind of trying to,
One question that had come up was the question about the 10 seconds, which Sherry was trying to
yeah.
And one of the things that I just want to mention here, if I don't steal something you would say, but we've received favorable reviews on digital boards from other cities and towns. In fact, in Walpole, the police department of Walpole came up and spoke in favor of the digital board.
Yeah.
Because what this is it's an electronic communication system that the town of Auburn will have access to, that they do not have now. What I mean by that is that the state regulation requires that there be community service done on these messages, which means that Amber Alerts will be automatically programmed into these.
Yep.
When the bombing happened at Patriots Day, there were test billboards up on 93 that showed the faces of the suspects. I mean, they caught them anyway, but I'm just saying, it can be used by the Auburn Police Department for wanted posters, for if there was a fire and you wanted people not to get off a certain exit, to alert people. So this is an electronic communication system that will be, a help to the town of Auburn and a public safety asset.
Oh, I agree. I don't think anyone disagrees that there's a lot of benefits. It's just a matter of, is it allowed by the
I
bylaw?
just think 10 seconds, when our bylaw says once every 30 minutes, and I realize that this is a large billboard on a main thoroughfare, but I know we've got some other smaller ones in town, and I know when those first started, that the zoning board and the building inspector finally got all these illuminated signs to comply with the bylaw, and it took us quite a while. I don't know, were you part of that?
No, I wasn't.
Was the other?
I wasn't part of the drafting of this ordinance
The
at
10
all.
seconds just brings Auburn into line with all the other cities and towns. As Larry mentioned, if you go up in Worcester and you look on 290, all of those boards are 10 seconds. So I mean, that isn't a random number. It was mandated by the state of Massachusetts.
These are the standards that were adopted by the people who control outdoor advertising signs. The Outdoor Advertising Commission, which is under the Mass Department of Transportation, has adopted that as a standard. The Federal Highway Administration has adopted that as a standard. Well, they didn't, the Federal Highway Administration, to be certain, they say, as was said by Sherry, 6 to 8 seconds. The state went beyond what the Federal Highway Administration is comfortable with. Going back, Mr. Coleman, to your question concerning the zoning, I did meet before we filed the application with Nick, and we did go over what we were proposing. And I do have a zoning interpretation form, which is attached as part of your application package. And if you see that and read that, you see what it says, and that's the interpretation that we received. And so that is, I would fall back on that, in addition to anything else I might be able to tell you about. That's the interpretation. This is what we need to get that, to make that sign. This is what we need under zoning to have a digital sign face, if you will, on that billboard. And I've made the application following those cited sections of the bylaw.
If I may, through the chair.
Yeah.
As Mr. Broder said, we did need to discuss this. When we were speaking about this, we did acknowledge that the billboard is an existing non-conforming use, and that we didn't, when I was doing this, I looked at this clause in here as far as changing or altering to another sign. My interpretation of that bylaw and what I informed Mr. Broder of was that, as he stated previously, and basically because this is what I told him, was that the underlying use and what this sign is, it's a billboard sign. They're not changing the billboard sign. Basically, we were looking at this as basically a refacing of the sign. They're refacing it with a different type of media, but it's still, at the same time, basically just a refacing of an existing sign.
Now, if I may, I have a file folder here which I can hand a copy to each of you so you can take a look at. what the current sign looks like and what the sign would look like if it had a digital face.
I just remember there was issues with this before, and I can't remember what. We had issues with this sign before, the billboard.
It was a different,
Were they gonna change the size of the billboard, or?
they were going to change the size of the billboard and some other things which
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Rich. No, they weren't going to change the size.
Do you remember?
Back in 2008, we had, what happened in front of your board was, if I might, Mr. Custer, what happened in front of your board was that, and maybe you'll remember this, and Marcia, you as well. I don't know if you were here at that time or not, Ed, but you, in front of the board, a dispute between
Yeah.
Clear Channel and RSA
Right,
Media
okay.
was sort of brought out.
Okay,
I
that was,
believe,
Yeah. And then that was resolved, and
Yeah.
everything went forward at that, following that. But it was, I'm sure for the board, a very uncomfortable couple
Yeah.
of meetings. It certainly was an uncomfortable set of meetings for us as well. Not because of what we were, because of the battle that was going on out here
right.
between applicant and the board. So you can see the two pictures. One's the picture of the sign as it shows, the other is the digital face superimposed on it, digital media superimposed on it. And I will go back to the distance from Bancroft Street. Absolutely, you can see it from Bancroft Street Bridge and from that ramp. I'm not sure you can see it from any place else. Maybe the backyards of a handful of those properties at the end of
And
the
Tuck
street.
Farm, you can see it from Tuck Farm. I was down in there. You can see Tuck Farm from the storage place right up through there. You can see that.
You mean the condominium?
Yeah.
Are they on the mailing list? Is that,
No, they're not, I looked.
So,
It's because of the proximity of
Right.
the sign location to where that
Right.
is. The requirements are only within 300 feet, so none of those properties are located within 300 feet of the
There is
location of
no
the sign.
ambient light that is transmitted from this to any of the units at Tuck Farm that would be disturbing to them at Tuck Farm.
Oh, how do you know that?
I've been at Tuck Farm, I used to live at Tuck Farm.
and,
Excuse me. And being that the billboard is there, it's there and it's grandfathered, and if it stays as it is, or changes, really doesn't impact anybody over there that much.
Right.
Granted, you can see it if you can look for it, but there's no impact that I would be able to see if it were an image that changed versus a fully static image. And this is going to be changing every 10 seconds, but static. You're not going to have dynamic motion on the board.
Regulation, you're not allowed.
There's, right,
static change, that's correct.
right.
Now, I'm told the
Yeah, and I have to talk about the light shed too. I mean, the brightest this is going to be is when you're directly in front of the board. That is where the
Right.
viewing angle is. And as he's speaking about the ambient light, as you get outside of that cone, it sheds away. So even the current billboard is brighter than what the digital is going to be because that's how LED lighting is designed. So from that type of angle, you're not going to, there's not going to be any light shed. And we can provide any engineering paperwork on that too.
and it is all kind of spelled out in Larry's proposal, 50 feet. So, I mean, it looks like, I mean,
I
every...
just don't see that there would be any adverse impact.
Right.
Because we're complying with all the state laws, and 10 seconds is, love to see it stay longer for somebody that, like me, that says, oh, what was that? But that's,
It's
you know,
speeding.
I don't see an adverse impact.
Yeah.
It's designed to, it's really servicing the people on the Turnpike. Okay, I want to talk about the light issue and where you measure the lumens from, because I've stated in the application that it meets the criteria of the 50-foot. It meets the 3/10 requirement that is in that provision, which is section 76,
Yeah.
let me grab it. Let me just grab it from the regulations.
I think it is,
Oh, no.
There is a, 7676 says, "No electronic message center sign shall exceed a brightness level of 3/10 foot candles above ambient light as measured using foot candle meter at a distance of 50 feet." This sign will meet that 3/10 foot candle provision, but you can't measure it at 50 feet because it's a billboard. Okay, that 50-foot distance is designed for the much smaller signs that you're controlling under the bylaw and doesn't apply to a billboard. There was a set of standards for billboard that was developed by I want to always remember to say the name correctly because, yes. Yeah, it's the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America, and those standards have been adopted by the federal and state agencies. They have standards that they've set out. They're used in measuring light transfer or light escape, if you will, from these signs. A 1,200 square foot sign like is being proposed, sign face as is being proposed here, has to be measured from 350 feet. If it's smaller, it comes down. If it's half that size, it's about half the distance. You have 1,350 feet minimum between the Bancroft Street Bridge and this sign. At 350 feet, the .3 lumens requirement is met, so you have 1,000 feet of no light spillage of any sort whatsoever. And I'm told again, as you were just told by Sherry, that the lights that presently exist and they upshine on the sign have more impact than the digital face will have in terms of light escape.
I like the safety aspects of it.
Yeah.
The fire and police have the option to use them.
Yeah.
Fire and police have the option to use the sign. You
We've
know,
already
that's-
been told that, yes.
That's a nice feature, I think, yeah.
It's required under the state law. But in addition to that, we're going to be open to the town of Auburn for either charitable or community messages, or just, notices of the town, whatever, whatever. We're a company that's based in Boston. We only operate in this area. We're not some multinational giant. And we're very community oriented, so we will work, and we can give you references from other towns that will tell you, we've always worked with them. So we want to make this available to better the town of Auburn. So in answer to your question, yes, fire and police have access to it through the Department of Transportation, but also we'll make it available for town civic purposes.
One thing that bothers me is, those electronic signs we have in town, we made those people conform to the 30-minute bylaw. Now, maybe we're going to approve a 10-second humongous billboard. What are those people going to think? That's what a
I have a
question
comment on that.
just-
That bylaw, the way I interpret it, is written specifically for the signage in the town, because billboards are not allowed in this town.
Exactly.
But this billboard is grandfathered. So that's that bylaw being written for the signage, because there was no question of a billboard, refers to signage versus this
No,
billboard.
electronic signs.
It refers to electronic signage.
Right.
Excuse me, electronic signage versus a billboard. This is a billboard that is grandfathered. Okay, so I don't think that they're contrary to this bylaw by having it at every 10 seconds.
And it's not
Because-
on a main thoroughfare.
Right,
Route
because that
21.
refers to electronic signage within the town and not a billboard, because we don't allow it.
I believe the location is,
Well,
I think the
still can't
location, there's very little
understand.
impact with the location.
I understand what Marsh is saying also.
I do also.
And I think what gives me comfort level, number one, Larry addresses all the criteria, it meets the criteria except for the time. So then if we focus on, it's just the 10 seconds, everything else meets the bylaws. And I looked in the DOT website, and they do go by the 10-second in the state. And then Nick confirmed for us that it is it's not a alteration, it's more just a refacing. So and on the positive side, Marcia, there are no other billboards that we'd expect to see this coming in, so.
No, but I'm just saying the people that we,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they use that for Auburn Media also.
Right.
They were using those signs, so.
But that's,
I
that
think
is
the
a little-
interpretation, I think the way I mentioned it is a perfectly legitimate interpretation.
And might I add, in addition, that because it does service only the eastbound traffic on the turnpike, that it is not servicing vehicles that are involved in traffic movements. They are moving, don't get me wrong, but they're not turning and stopping at a light and starting up and those types of things as you would on more local roads. This is oriented only to the turnpike, always has been, and I would guess always will be, because it's grandfathered, and if you do anything different, you're going to lose the right to use it, so it's going to stay the way it is. I would also say that if the board is inclined to grant this, that if you place the condition of approval, that you want to get the results of the measured lumens at that 350-foot distance, that the science, that information, the science on that could be presented, so you would have assurance that it met that 0.3 foot candle standard.
We're gonna have Nick go out and measure it, so I think.
He's going to have to get a light meter. This is the same. This is, I mean, it's the same standard that when you deal. It's not the same standard, but it's not all that different from what the planning board requires on their site plans, where they don't want any spillage over onto adjoining lots. So your illumination plan has to show zero spillage into the adjoining properties. This would meet that sort of a standard, only it would be the one that is focused on the.
Has anybody got any determination on the distance? If you go down Tuck Farm Road and turn to the right, those units there would be the closest to this sign, even though the sign is going to be on the opposite side of Mass Pike. Has anybody determined that distance? To me, I'm in my head trying to estimate it from having been there, and I'm figuring it's over 1,000 feet
I would
to the other side of the Mass Pike.
I would guess that the right-of-way in the Mass Pike is 300 feet wide by itself.
So it's 300 feet?
Yep.
So there's 700 right there. Plus the distance of the Mass Pike. The road, the actual tar.
Pub right-of-way is 300 feet.
And that's on the outside of the tar.
Correct. Well, no, beyond that, because there's some grass.
In other words, I've got two lanes,
Yeah, outside the tar. Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And then it's 350 feet beyond that.
No, it's all together. As you take one side of Mass Pike to the other.
It's 350.
Feet across.
Pike is designed.
And this is that's 300 feet already,
And
plus whatever.
beyond that 350 feet, how far is that sign? How
Oh.
far is that billboard, excuse me?
Probably, I don't have a scale with me, but
I would think it would be almost next to impossible to give that light
it's
to adversely affect those people.
another 40 or 50 feet, but it's also facing the other way.
Right,
It's facing angled up.
that's right. It's facing west.
Correct. Facing west on an angle, not over toward Tuck Farm. And I did not go down there because it struck me, and I took my tour. I didn't go down there because it struck me when I got to that ramp area, where I saw all the foliage that's existing, and it's not all
Right.
leafy trees, it's pine as well. And I looked beyond, and I said, boy, that's just,
I think it's about 200 feet from the road to the door, but I'm not.
I've never seen any light that I would perceive coming across, and I travel that, if I go down Bancroft Street,
Yep.
and I always look down to see the traffic on the Mass Pike. Never seen what I would consider any area illuminated on the opposite side of the Mass Pike, and I probably travel that 25 times a week.
I walked it every day
I live
of the
there,
week
you know. I mean, I live on Bancroft.
yeah, and I did as well. I lived on Bancroft for 25 years. I walked down that way early in the morning or in the evening, 5, 6 days a week for years. And, yeah, I know it's there, and I could see it, and I know where to look for it. But if you're riding by in a car, and it's there. You can see it, no question.
What do you think, Rick? You feeling good about it, or what do you?
I think I am. I'm okay with it. I understand how, you know, other signs in town have been held to the 30.
Right.
But because this is on a highway that's, like Larry stated, it's not stop and go.
Right. Designed for speed on the pike.
It's basically on a state road, right,
Right,
facing a state road that's not affecting us in town so much. Abutters, but I don't see any
Yeah.
abutters.
Well, they didn't get it. I
Well,
mean,
there's some
residential
here, right?
abutters didn't get it. That was only commercial abutters.
No, it's all abutters within the 300-foot area. So, I mean,
So they
it
don't
could be
abut.
commercial units, it could be residential, it's
But there are
everybody
no
within that
residential
300-foot
in that.
radius.
Right.
Right, and they're gonna
Abutting the
be,
area.
so they're more than 300 feet away, right? They're probably 1,000 feet away.
Right. And it's not, we're not gonna see a lot of these. I mean, like I said, this is only billboard, so, I don't think we're at spot zoning. I don't think we're gonna change how we view, a sign or a digital sign on Route 20. I mean, I wouldn't change how I view it.
Right, because that's a sign and this is a building.
Right,
I mean, there
right.
is a, I know. I'm okay with it. That's my opinion.
I know Larry supports it.
Yeah, I am. I am definitely fine with it. I don't think we're setting an adverse precedent in any way, because this is a unique situation. It's the only one in town.
We need 4 votes, so, before we vote, we gotta feel comfortable that Marcia agrees with us as well. Is there anything else you think you'd like to hear? That,
No, I think I've heard it all.
If I can echo Mr. Coleman, we proceeded tonight with 4 only out of 5, and so we do require unanimous agreement amongst the board members if we're to be granted this permit. So if we can get a sense of the board, that would be helpful, because I need to be...
not to put the pressure on you.
No, there's no pressure.
Yeah.
It says you have to
Right.
make your own decision. It's,
Well, it was the non-conforming was one of my issues, which I guess is,
Yeah.
my other issue is, why does it have to be 10 seconds, every 10 seconds, but...
well, one question, is there gonna be something different every 10 seconds? Or does it just repeat the same logo or?
So the ad will switch every 10 seconds, but it's instantaneous. I mean, the flip is a half second. You won't see it. So some of these
Right.
displays in town may not even have that type of technology in order to enforce. It's instantaneously. You're not going to see anything. Nothing's going to blank. Nothing's going to flash. There is no animation. This is not a TV. I don't know if any of the signs here are animated or they have text that scroll. That's not this at all. This is a
Okay, so that's not what it is then?
Nope, it's a static billboard. The only thing is it changes from one, say you're the mall in town, to the advertising for just Macy's, whatever it may be. But it's instantaneous, no animation. You won't see nothing in between the flips.
Continuous motion. A lot of things that those other signs do, this sign's not allowed.
All right, so no words like going
Those words,
across?
no, none of that.
It doesn't even have the components in order to do that, because by law, we're not allowed to do that by the Federal Highway Administration. So we take our technology, we take that all component out.
Like nothing, it'll remain static.
No. Okay, again, Marcia, nothing moves, no animation, no scrolling words. None of
Okay, and
that.
as long as we don't hear from those people on Bancroft Street, right?
Well, Nick will get those calls.
All right,
I mean, can I make a motion here?
Sure you can.
I mean, I'll make a motion to accept the billboard.
Grant the
I'll
special.
I'll reluctantly say yes.
And there's really no conditions, because I mean,
No,
it's all spelled out.
Well, we want to give you comfort. We want to make certain, we measure this at 350 feet to tell you that the requirement of 0.3 candles is met, and we'll do that.
Every time you drive by it, you're gonna smile. That's a condition. Right.
You might like,
Oh, don't do that.
So the second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
All right. That's great, that's,
But we're willing to go beyond that. I mean, I'm gonna establish for you that the appropriate facilities in town, work with you guys and whatever. Things are really helpful.
okay, and what was your name again?
Yeah, anything that, if you know someone in town, civic,
All right.
please let me know. We want to work with you.
Come on, thank you.
So much.
Good, thanks.
Can I read that guy's name down here?
It's in Sutton now.
Oh, James, L-A-C-K.
Not Jack, no.
Maybe we should file for future.
Do we need to make a motion to?
Actually, we, a motion to approve the minutes from September, right?
Do we have to close this
Oh,
hearing?
I'm sorry, that's right. I'll take a motion. I wasn't listening. I was
We should
thinking
close the
of-
hearing.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of September
19th.
19th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.